Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman from Texas, Julie Johnson, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Homeland Security Committee as well. Congresswoman, want to get your initial thoughts on this news coming out of Gaza. I mean, if the brokered ceasefire deal doesn't hold, what do you think that means, for the Trump administration and more broadly for U.S. involvement?
Well, hopefully it will hold. That's what, the world wants is peace. We have to see kind of what's happening. The thing that concerns me the most is that they are halting all of the humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. I think that's wrong. From what I understand about the conflict, Hamas says they had lost contact with some fighters who may have initiated conflict with the Israeli armed forces. And there's some back and forth there, and hopefully that can be settled down. But the aid to the people of Gaza needs to flow immediately, and that needs to get restored, in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to play you something that Tennessee Republican Congressman John Rose, who was on our show in the last hour, said. Take a listen.
The struggle has been going on for centuries, certainly for decades. Americans have been trying to broker peace in that region. And so this is not going to be easy, and there are going to be setbacks, and we've just got to be steadfast. And I think the president has the right team. Obviously, they brought together a broad coalition to achieve peace, and I think you'll see them continue to press forward.
It seems like you share somewhat the optimism that we get to a peace deal with the congressman there. In the case that we don't, do you think this shifts our relationship with Israel, especially if we do not see the borders reopen and aid continue to get back into the Gaza region?
Well, absolutely. I think that, I think the United States has a moral imperative and responsibility in this area. And I was pleased to see that an initial peace deal had come to the table. But from the reports that I've seen and have read, it seems that both parties still very much want that to happen. So hopefully they can, contain themselves, get back on the path to peace. The people of Gaza need food. They need humanitarian aid. I've been a strong advocate for that. For this entire time, and that needs to flow immediately. But I'm very hopeful that it can get back on track. The Israelis want peace. The Palestinians want peace. The world wants peace. Everyone has that objective and that aim, and hopefully it can get put back on track pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, we knew this agreement was fragile. And it's happening in multiple phases. Right now, we're still in phase one, and there's this kind of uncertainty around it. I want to play you something that the president said this morning about the next phase, phase two, and disarming. Take a listen.
This is a very violent part of the world. Nobody's seen violence like this. If we have to, we'll disarm
the U.S.
Well, whether it's me or the U.S. or it's, a proxy, could be Israel with our backing. We won't have boots on the ground. There's no reason to.
Where do you assess the U.S. involvement should be as we go to phase two and beyond, hopefully, if the ceasefire agreement holds?
Well, I think the biggest complication going forward is how is the Palestinian area going to be governed? What leadership is going to be put in place? Who's going to be in charge? It can't be Hamas. Who's going to be taking over? And I think there's a lot of diplomatic efforts between the United States and other countries in the region, Egypt, UAE, Qatar, all these other places who have stepped up to play a leadership role in bringing this peace negotiation. But it has always going to been delicate. It's always been fragile. And these key details of how to move forward have not been worked out. They haven't been laid out for the world to see and for the parties to agree on publicly. And I think that, that needs to happen so that we can decide as a world and as a nation how we're going to hold these countries accountable if they don't comply with those agreements. But, it is a very, very fragile time period right now.
Yes. Speaking of fragile time periods, I want to turn your attention, to home and the shutdown, the fragility of that. We're at day 19. Americans have been hearing a lot of blame and, quite frankly, the same talking points and blame that we saw on day one, we're now seeing on day 19. On the official GOP X account, the party saying, quote, instead of supporting working families, Democrats are holding Americans hostage. I get the Democratic fight, and I think most American people get it. We want to make sure that health care is something that most Americans can afford. But We're seeing most Americans in pain right now. Is there any room for compromise to get to the point where the government can resume this week?
Well, let's just be perfectly clear about something. In the last 108 days, Mike Johnson has only called the House into session for 19 of them. So the Republicans have abdicated their obligation to lead. They are not working. They're on vacation. They are not taking care of the needs of the American people. And this notion of this PR campaign that Democrats are only here for health care for, quote, illegals is just blatantly false and is yet another example of how Republicans are willing to lie to the American people. It is very clear. Federal law absolutely expressly prohibits anyone who is here in illegal or undocumented status from participating in any federal health benefit. They can't do Medicaid, they can't do Medicare, they can't participate in the Affordable Care Act. Period, full stop. That is a blatant lie and false talking point, because at the end of the day, let's go back to how we got here. You know, Donald Trump made a deal with big tech. You get me into elected office, and then I will get you a massive tax break. Big tech did that.
Congresswoman,
they funded his campaign,
Democrats,
and now the only way he's giving them their tax break is at the healthcare expense of the American people, and that's just not okay.
I hear you. I hear you. And Democrats have been saying this for 19 days. But are Democrats then taking a playbook out of President Trump's, mouth, the short-term pain for long-term gain? Because right now, listen, every week that we remain shut down, GDP 0.2% is being lost. In a couple of weeks, millions of Americans could lose SNAP benefits. And these are Americans that cannot afford, to feed themselves without these critical benefits. I get the fight, but is it short-term pain for long-term gain when Democrats have, criticized President Trump for doing this?
Well, I disagree with that characterization. You know, what I'm hearing from my constituents is, for the love of God, keep my health care. I really need it. I need it to stay alive. My mother needs it to stay alive. My kid needs it to stay alive. You know, keep my health care. And this notion, the Republicans are in charge. They're the ones that put a bill on the table. I don't have to vote for their crappy bill. If they want my vote, they need to put a bill on the table that they know I'm going to vote for. I voted against this last time. I voted against it again. I'm going to continue to vote against it until it protects health care.
Do you think the Republicans are going to cave? Because that seems to be the only way this ends. And if you're talking to a Democrat and Republican, say the only way this ends is the Democrats cave.
Well, the Republicans are in charge. They're the ones owning this. The polling is very clear that the American people are holding the Republicans responsible for this shutdown. When you're in control of the House and you're in control of the Senate and you're in control of the White House, this is your plan, this is your bill, this is your proposal, this is your shutdown, and this is your pain. You know, but if they want my vote, they have to put something on the table that I can vote for, and I cannot in good conscience vote for what's there now.
I hear you. We'll see how the American people continue to follow this. Let me really quickly, before I have to let you go, get your insight on the breaking news I reported at the top of the hour. The Trump administration, we're seeing them ramp up this fight against drug cartels. They're now saying they're vowing to end U.S. payments to Colombia, in addition to striking alleged drug vessels in the Caribbean, continuing to do that. Do you think that's actually deterring narco cartels? And do you have any concerns with what the administration is doing here?
Well, yes, I do have, concerns that they are just indiscriminately murdering people without objective evidence that there is, in fact, the drug cartels and all that sort of thing. With respect to the Colombian government, I do think that the Colombian government needs to step up their role and their effort into curbing the drug trafficking trade. I was on a congressional delegation trip to Colombia in the summer, and we had a chance to go down there. And I do think that there is a lot more that the Colombian government can do. And I think that the Trump administration should, in fact, put pressure on the Colombian government to manage and police the drug trafficking that's happening within that country. But you can't just indiscriminately shoot people because they're on a boat in the ocean. You have to have objective evidence that they are, in fact, doing something that justifies that sort of an action. And so far, that the Trump administration hasn't offered to the American people or to the world that they had credible evidence to support these strikes. So that is concerning to us at this point.
I will say we have had Democrats and Republicans on this show saying, show us the information, regardless of where you stand on this. Show us that transparent, proof of,
That's
in
right.
fact, these
just
cartels.
Blow people out of the sky without I mean, there's got to be evidence there.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're going to have to leave it there. Texas Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson, thank you so much for joining us.
It's always good to be with you. Thank you.
All right.